This is Tess. She's a rare jewel, a dance machine, and a friend to all. She bubbles over with delight around people, and her personality, yeah, it fills the room. Tess is pure joy, but also misunderstood because she's different. Tess has a rare genetic condition called Williams syndrome that causes a slew of cognitive and physical issues, but it also has a magical effect, like a superpower, allowing Tess to only see the good in others and to light up with contagious excitement around anyone she meets. This condition makes her miraculously joyful, unconditionally accepting in the life of any party. But it also pushes people away, leaving her sad, frustrated, and lonely. It's like some cruel trick. The same condition that allows Tess to see a friend in anyone prevents most from becoming the friend she so desperately yearns for. She knows no strangers, but can claim few friends. She's my wild, beautiful daughter. And as a father, you desperately want your kids to find friendship, adventure, and community where they can belong, be loved for who they are, explore faith, and thrive by simply being themselves. This has been our greatest challenge. I could go on and on about how hard we struggle to find this for Tess. Our battles with schools, in some cases, staggering. The attempts with community programs, frustrating. The struggles with friends and family, heartbreaking. It's hard to expect the world to lean in when they don't understand. True friends are the ones who walk into the room when everyone else is walking out. That's the friend Tess and our family always needed. And that's the friend we found in Young Life Capernaum. And if you want to know the impact Young Life has had on our lives, it's deep, yet simple. Shopping with her friend Kathy, the Saturday night get-togethers and how they'll save food for her even when she's late. The good news of Jesus' love for us, the created space to consider faith for herself. The songs and music, the vanilla frappuccinos, and just the thought of summer camp with all the laughter and all the people, especially all the people. Whether it's one-on-one mentorship, weekly club meetings, or a day at camp, Capernaum is love, an intentional relationship for families like ours. But even if you added up all of these activities, added 3 and multiplied them by 1,000, you'd still arrive at a fraction of what Capernaum means to people like Tess and families like ours. Capernaum is our trusted friend. Long after most people had left the entire building, Capernaum were the ones who walked into the room. And that has made all the difference.
You did it, Dad.
Thanks, Tess.
Woo!
Yeah! Let's give him a round of applause! Woo!
Woo!
Welcome to the Young Life South Edmonton 2021 Banquet Fundraiser. Thank you so much for joining us. This is our 40th year of Young Life in South Edmonton, and we're really excited to share with you what has been going on this last year and some of the things that we're looking forward to in the future. My name is Roger. This is my 3rd year on staff, and I've been a part of Young Life for 11 years now. This year's looked very different for everybody, I think, and so we appreciate you staying with us as we attempt a new style of banquet. We've obviously had to change a lot of things this year. How we've interacted with teens has changed dramatically. Throughout the summer, we weren't able to go to Rockridge, obviously, but we still found ways to connect with teenagers while we had nice weather outside. I was able to bike around the city with my teens a couple of times. We ran an amazing race for our high school kids. We had a pretty awesome paint night and balloon popping extravaganza with some of our junior high teens. And since then, we've been trying really hard to just find any reason to hang out with and connect with the teenagers who we do have in our organization. Before this last set of restrictions, I was able to meet with a few of my teens at McDonald's for about 3 or 4 weeks in a row. And each time we would just buy some drinks and hang out and chat. But those chats would go on for 3 or 4 hours because the teens were just really open about their lives and they want to talk about life and about faith. And I hold those moments really dear, especially considering now we're not able to get together in person. The leaders are the backbone of our Young Life organization. We have amazing young adults who devote their time and energy to engaging with teenagers in their world. That's been especially apparent this year as we haven't had these large extravagant events to be able to invite teens to. Most of the work has taken place relationally. We have a whole team of superstar leaders. We'd like to share a couple of their stories with you. So here's one of our leaders' Young Life journeys.
It was the community of Young Life and the conversations with my leaders that started to point me into the right direction. My name is Walter, and I'm 22 years old. So I was born in Honduras. Both of my parents are very well known in their fields in Honduras. Growing up, there's always these expectations, I felt like. That's where my worth came from. And so to me, I've always been trying to match up how well I performed specifically in studies. My family was interesting. My mom and my dad were the only ones in both sides of the family that didn't really buy into Christ. So it was always interesting because I would always go to church with my cousins and I'll be in church things. I had all this knowledge of what the rules of Christianity are and what the expectations are, and that there is an angry God out there waiting for you to mess up to punish you. But I still, at that age, I was like, well, my parents are believing this, so why would I, kind of thing. So I was born in Honduras and moved to Canada 8 years ago. It was kind of an interesting change. My parents felt the need for a church, and which it was very new for me to see, and they decided to go to the church of a friend of ours, and that kind of became our home church. Kind of around the same time, I started playing volleyball at the school in high school, and this one time, a friend of mine was driving me back home, and on the way back home, his mom was like, "Hey, so are you going to Young Life today?" And he was like, "Oh, I don't know." So he was like, "Oh, you should invite Walter." And so he asked me if I wanted to come to Young Life. I had no idea what it was. So we went into this back entrance of this house, and that led straight to the basement. And once we get to the basement, there's this 30 plus teenagers just crammed into this basement watching Good Will Hunting. And I was like, this is kind of weird. But right off the bat, the community was just so welcoming, all the leaders, and it just kind of opened up even just high school for me, because there's all these people there that I have seen around the school but I've never talked to. Young Life kind of transformed my view of Christianity. And on from there, went to Rockridge all 3 years. Throughout high school and grade 12, I kind of decided that I kind of wanted to be a leader. So yeah, and now I've been a leader for about 5, almost 6 years, and I did 1 year as staff, and just made me realize that God, it's not about punishing you, it's not about all these rules that you have to follow, but he realizes that you are going to mess up, and that's why Christ came, because without him it would be impossible for us to have a relationship with him and to be able to just bring ourselves to God with everything that we're carrying, whether it's good, whether it's bad. It doesn't really matter, because he wants to be there for you, and he is there for you. And a verse that has helped me, 1 Peter verse 3, and it says, "Praise to God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. In his great mercy, he has given us new birth into a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, and into an inheritance that can never perish, spoil, or fade." The cool thing to me is, it doesn't matter where you go, it doesn't matter where you're going in life, or what you're going through in life. Jesus gave his life for you, for that relationship with God. And it doesn't matter what's going on or where it's going on, or whether you think you don't deserve it. He's still there, and it's never going to perish, and it's never going to fade.
Thanks so much to Walter for being open and sharing his story. The leaders put so much time and effort into hanging out with they're teenagers, and so we'd be remiss if we didn't share the teenagers' stories as well. So here's a few of our teenagers and their experiences with Young Life.
So tell us your name, grade, what school you go to, and how did you get involved in Young Life?
Hi, I'm Ocean. I'm in grade 12 and I go to Harry Ainley.
My name's Isla.
I'm Precious.
I'm Kendall. I come from Living Osborne, and I'm a grade 12 student.
So my name's Jack. I'm in grade 10 currently at Harry Ainley, and I got introduced to Young Life mostly through my mom, who was the Young Life staff when she was younger. And yeah, she kind of just started taking me to Young Life events. And when I got to grade 7 at Avalon, Roger, I think, invited me to campaigners, and I just started going to that every week, which was super fun and something to look forward to. And so yeah, that's kind of how I got started into Young Life, and I've just kind of been coming to all the events that I could ever since.
Involved in Young Life, I think I started hanging out with you guys in grade 8. My friend Amuna was going on and on about this camp that she's going to in the summer and all this fundraising stuff that she's doing, so I decided to just tag along, and we went and did this activity called Bigger or Better, and we just ran around Westbrook Drive and just started knocking on people's doors and asking for things. It was cool. It was really fun.
What is your favorite Young Life memory?
Well, I do have a lot of fond memories.
I can't really pick one, but I guess I'd have to say like
When we went to Rockridge and they asked us to all be quiet and go out and look at the view and just absorb everything, and I felt it was a really emotional and surreal experience, and I could really feel like I could understand what Young Life was trying to do and trying to create those like amazing memories for us, and how much like they cared for all the teens there and how much they wanted us to connect with each other and ourselves. So yeah, that was really awesome.
One that I can think of recently is John has been taking me and a few buddies out to lunch once a week, and we've been recording short videos. Basically, we're reviewing fast food restaurants' French fries, which is super fun, and we always get a good laugh out of that. So it's really fun.
Camp, there was one specific night we were doing cabin time, and it just got really, really deep, and I feel like I just bonded with so many of the girls in ways I've never bonded with before, and I rebonded with girls in ways I never bonded with before.
So tell me, what has Young Life contributed to your life?
Young Life has contributed probably the best group of girls I could ever ask for.
So with Young Life, I've always been outgoing before Young Life, but I think it's made me be more open to hanging out with new people.
I think it's really changed my life a lot. Because of Young Life, I became a Christian.
And what have you learned from Young Life?
I would say that I learned how to basically know that everybody's different in their own way, especially when it comes to religion. Like I've always been a Christian, but I'm not really like a church-going Christian. So with Young Life, it's like a fun way of knowing about God's word.
I think I've learned definitely to try new things.
Yeah, like my leaders have been great to mentor me and just teach me a lot about life, and yeah, having club talks and having messages have always been super great to just learn life lessons.
Okay, I've learned to be more aware of other people's stories and what everybody has gone through, and that everybody has a background that you're not aware of.
I think the most important thing I learned from Young Life is love, like how to love others and how to feel the love from others. Yeah, the most important that I feel love from God.
How would you invite your friends to Young Life? How would you tell them about Young Life? How would you pitch it to them?
I would probably explain it as a organization where you can just come and hang out and play some games and have a fun time, and then learn a little bit about Christianity and about Jesus. And yeah, just have a laugh with your friends and have a good time.
Actually, I will tell them about my own experience and what I get from Young Life and how I become to be a Christian.
If you want an older sibling, if you've never had an older sibling, this is what it's like. It's like having a teacher who doesn't judge anything that you do, who doesn't tell you bad things about yourself, who tells you right from wrong in a very non-judgmental way. It's really good for mentorship. And even if you're not religious, it's just so amazing to be part of something outside of, your family or school.
So to my friends, I would definitely say if you're someone who maybe has a hard time getting to know people or you just want new relationships, it's the exact place you should go. Everybody is so welcoming and everybody loves each other so much and just makes you feel so accepted. And it's also just a great place to let loose and enjoy your time with people that you love.
I would say Young Life is a way to make new friends. Like Ocean said, if you're not an outgoing person, but you really want to make friends and want to bond with people your age or want to have like an older mentor, Young Life is a place to go because they're also welcoming and very helpful for when you have like personal issues that you don't want to talk to your older siblings or like your parents about, and then you can just go to the leaders and just ask them for advice, and they would be more than open to helping you.
Thanks so much to all those teenagers who took time to be on yet another Zoom call with us. That's just a handful of the people who were able to interact with, even throughout the pandemic. The last story that we're going to share with you tonight is another leader. So we're going to head off to Louise's Young Life journey.
A verse that my mom would always cite to me was Isaiah 53:5. But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. Hi, my name is Louise. I am 26 years old. I am a volunteer for Young Life, and I have been with them for 3 years. Okay, so I grew up in a family of 6 in Grand Prairie, Alberta. Children, and I grew up in a Christian household, so all my life I've known about Jesus, about God, and I think I always took for granted the fact that I grew up in faith. And so when I was around 14, I was really struggling with my faith life. I was struggling to figure out what it was and how I identified with it. So it was very much my faith life is my family's and not my own. So I was starting to figure that out, started going to youth group more often. And then it was October 2018, I started getting really bad headaches. And they were actually not headaches, they were migraines. And there were migraines that were so bad, I'd wake up in the morning and I'd just be bawling my eyes out because they hurt so bad. So my mom took me to the hospital. And the family doctor was a friend of ours too, so he gave me advice on like what to avoid when it came to migraines. So he said avoid chocolate, avoid going to bed late, that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, that sounds pretty simple. And then he said, let's actually do a blood test. So we did a blood test the next day. After that, my parents woke me up one morning and they said, we gotta go to Edmonton. So they didn't tell me anything. We got in the vehicle, started driving, and I was thinking, oh, I must have diabetes. So we got to Edmonton and took some more testing for the weekend. And I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia within the week. And so it was that trial that really got me to stand in my faith. I relied on God to do the healing, and it was just such a hard situation to be in at 14 years old. And so fast forward to going into university, I had lost that feeling of being in a hard place. So I was searching for that faith again, was struggling to, again, identify myself in God. And I really put my identity in school and friends and everything but my relationship with God. And I was at King's University and I was walking around and I saw a booth. And at the booth it was Jorgen Jesperson, I'm pretty sure. And they were looking for young life leaders. And I thought, oh wow, like this would be such an amazing opportunity for me to invest my life in something more. And I always had an idea of what it, I always knew what it meant to have somebody on your side. And I thought Young Life would be a great opportunity for me to pour out God's love to other people in a purposeful manner rather than just worldly things. So I got signed up with Young Life, and now that I have like the girls in my life, I've never felt such a love for them. And I often tell people the love I have for my Young Life girls, I can't fathom the love that a parent has for their child. And then I think even bigger, like the love that God has for his children. And so Young Life has been such a huge blessing to me because I've been able to pour out. I've been able to find my faith in God, and I've been able to experience what it means to be loved by him and to love others through him. Yeah. You need to cry.
That's cute. You got it.
So you didn't do Young Life like as a kid or
No, I never did.
You
Yeah.
saw a booth. Then
Saw a
for
booth.
leaders.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Thanks to Louise for being so vulnerable and sharing her story. We hope you've enjoyed listening to these testimonies, and we hope it gives you a bit of vision about how Young Life can work even throughout a global pandemic. So to finish off the evening, I'd like to pass it off to John Webster.
Hi, my name is John Webster, and I'm the Area Director for Young Life in South Edmonton. Today, our hope is that we are going to raise $30,000 for our local programs right here in South Edmonton. We have many things to celebrate, even though that it's been a challenging year. This year in particular, we are celebrating 40 years of our programs being here in South Edmonton. Our first staff member was John McNichol, who was hired by our committee that involved the Humphreys, who are still involved with Young Life today. And there are many cool things that have happened this summer, even though that there are many different challenges, which I'm sure you quite well know about. A couple of highlights that I'm quite excited about was our Capernaum Club. Now, our Capernaum Club is a club that is specifically geared for teenagers with disabilities. And this year, unfortunately, we were not able to host our camps in person. And so what we decided to do was to bring camp to them. So a number of our wonderful volunteers and people that work behind the scenes, they brought packages to every single teenager involved with Capernaum and hosted a day camp online. And many teens thought it was the highlight of their summer, which was really awesome to hear. Another cool highlight that I would like to share with you involves our Mandarin Club. Our Mandarin Club is unique to the rest of the country with Young Life, as a number of Chinese students from China are here in Edmonton studying and taking their education. And so this year, with us not being able to have camp in person, we decided to do things virtually. And so our clubs were online over Zoom. And I'm really excited to be able to share this with you, but through a number of intentional conversations and spending time just being having meaningful conversations, we had a young girl in the Mandarin group come to know who Christ is. That is truly amazing. Our hope today is that we will be able to raise $30,000 for our programs. We have a number of junior high and high school programs that involves teenagers from the ages of 12 to 18. And it's really important for us to be able to raise this money because this is what we rely on, is the generosity of our donors, such as yourselves. And so today I would like to ask you to consider giving. There are a number of opportunities for you to give, whether it's monthly donations or to give a one-time donation. All donations receive a tax receipt. And if you're unable to give financially today, I would ask you to consider maybe praying for our mission, or for that matter, maybe even volunteering. We love to have volunteers, all ages. I remember that the oldest volunteer that I've ever had was in their 60s, and they were fantastic. I remember the group of guys just being able to connect with this guy, and that's just because they didn't have a father figure in their lives. So everyone has a place within Young Life. So for the month of February, our goal is to raise $30,000. Our fundraising theme is called Share the Love with Young Life. And that is what I would like to ask of you, for you to be a generous donor tonight by either giving monthly or by giving a one-time donation that will help us reach our $30,000 goal, which will stay locally right here in South Edmonton, providing resources and opportunities and adventures for all of our kids, staff, and volunteers. In ending, I just want to say thank you so much on behalf of all the teenagers, the families, the leaders, and the staff that are involved with Young Life in South Edmonton. Roger is now going to come back and to tell you more about how you can make a contribution to our programs.
Thanks again for joining us as we attempt to have a virtual banquet. If you would like to donate towards our $30,000 goal, you can click the link in the chat and it will take you to the webpage where you can make the donation, or you can ask your table host and they'll be able to guide you. That concludes the stage portion of our evening. If you would like to continue sticking around and chatting with the people who invited you or mingling online, you can do so by clicking the sessions button on your left. That will give you an option to see the tables and you can chat with people there. Or if you're feeling really spontaneous, you can click on the networking button, which will match you up with one person who is also attending the event at random. So you can talk about how you got involved with Young Life, maybe who invited you, or answer some of the questions that are provided in that section. Thank you again so much for joining us, and we hope that you have a great rest of your evening.